Coronavirus. The music industry is shutting down. And it's terrible. I saw today a good friend of mine who works in Holland. He plays drums with me sometimes, but he's also a road manager, tour manager. And those guys, it's the crews and the festival people that are really getting hit hard. Yeah. But we're just two musicians, and we're lucky to be musicians. Before we get started, let's point out, it's a great job to have if you can make it work.
And you and I are both musicians that actually quit our day jobs a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we've been incredibly lucky.
Yes, and the mighty Tom Wilson, if you remember a few years ago, he said to me, he says, "You're like me, we're lifers. We have to do this. You can't start it like a car, you can't stop it with a pistol. It's in us to do."
Yeah.
And so, for that being said, I continued, even though all my tours are canceled for the foreseeable future. Last night, with about 48 hours notice, put on a live stream concert, because you just have to, jump these hurdles as you come to them. And it was well received. But I'm looking at my calendar now going, wow, okay, what do I do? So how has it affected you?
It's really put a wrench in any plans of evolving as an artist. I was just, forget, your regular gigs that you've been doing with your band, or your, whatever project you've been working on for years. If you're trying to launch, which I've been doing the last 3 or 4 months,
right,
a new band out of pocket, flying people from out of the country, flying them from out of province, filming, doing all the things that you need to do to get the word out, to be able to get booked at festivals and all that. It's all sitting at the side of the road.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this business is timing. Timing is crucial, especially if you're a drummer. But it really is. You have to know what you're going to do at least 6 months in advance, if not a year.
Yeah. And
timing a new album, and is it going to be eligible for certain awards? Are we going to be able to book the gigs? So once that schedule is just, you get the rug pulled out from underneath you, it's chaos.
It can seem like chaos. For me, I was going to use CMW, Canadian Music Week, as the launch vessel for the new band, and to get to the exposure. And you do your Friday night Rivoli gig, and bam, here you are, 44, but you feel like you're 24 again, and you're rebirthing. And at the moment, like so many other people, across the board, you look at road managers, sound techs, tour managers. I look at my own manager, and I'm trying to see through the noise of even the streaming platforms that everybody is rightfully taking to the air, and creating art from their bedrooms and their apartments, and even that is I fear things getting lost, and I fear. And maybe that's not the thing to fear right now. Maybe it's just amazing to be able to broadcast whatever you're doing, whether it's a podcast, whether you have a show in your bedroom, whether you and your dog have a talent.
Yeah.
That you want to show people. Maybe that's the saving grace for creativity, is to just have output.
Well, and as much as we need to create, people also that aren't musicians, they crave to hear it, man. There's so many people. I know it sounds like a corny sign in your aunt's kitchen. Music is life, or something like this. But it is, and a lot of people, like when I did the live stream last night, the comments on the YouTube page were so many people are just thankful. We're locked up, we're self quarantined right now, and this is so excellent. And the fact that they can watch it on their computer, and we saw people that were saying that we're up dancing and and boogieing. So, as much as we need to do it, there's people need to hear it as well.
Yeah.
So at least now at this modern age, there's different platforms that we can put it out there.
Yeah. I think that's if we think for a second. It's funny you saying that to me, because I feel like I've been in self-isolation and doing it pretty well for the last 4 or 5 days. I've, like many people, I've been like, well, wait a minute, what's the point of trying to get yourself, broadcast through the noise of what's happening? And then you realize that everybody else is stuck at home, and people are trying to, they need it more than ever. They need this content, your ability to tap into, wherever you tap into.
Yeah.
And
well,
get out there.
When I do go out on the road and perform, sometimes I just think about it what I'm doing, like I'll get to the hotel late at night and I'm laying in bed and I think about it in a very simple way. This is so weird what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I go from town to town and play my stupid music, and people pay money to come and watch me do it and dance and buy out. Like, to me, I feel like I'm really getting away with something at times, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But that just shows that it's a reciprocal thing. We have to do it. They have to have it. So it's a good deal to have, that's for sure. And that's the positive thing that we're getting out of this. Now, with the self-isolation, I mean, there's always things we can do. We can write songs. I can work on new scripts for upcoming podcast episodes, but we don't get paid for that.
No.
So
no, it's. I've wondered whether this is a perfect time in our current history to sit down at the dinner table, or the coffee table, and renegotiate and recalibrate streaming monies earned and sent towards songwriters. And I
Yes.
wonder if it really truly is a moment that, people can recognize, because more than ever, people are streaming and downloading and whatnot. And I wonder if it's not, just for, I mean, everyone's looking out for themselves in a way, but they're also trying, like, these are great opportunities for a number of things, and this might be a great opportunity to rebalance.
Yeah. Should we get David Crosby to negotiate for us?
Yeah.
He has strong thoughts
I think
on
Cross,
this.
he's got great thoughts. He has amazing thoughts on this. He's not making, I mean, he's on the road. He's a perfect case in point.
Yeah.
He is on the road because the money from Deja Vu or If I Can Only Remember My Name, which is like his, critically acclaimed record, he's on the road because there is no money to be made from record sales.
Well, and before this coronavirus, the music industry suffered several pretty harsh blows. And it's happened in a lot of industry. I mean, I'm sure photographers, like, there's all sorts of things that just times have changed,
Yeah.
You don't sell film. You don't use those traditional cameras. Everyone just takes pictures on their phone. And I'm sure it's hit a lot of things. But with the music business, a few things. Number one, when the streaming did start, then people just felt music should be free. Some people still pay, but exactly what are we getting? I don't know what Spotify pays you. I do, we get a lot of spins. I don't know what the money's like, honestly. And the other bummer is because people just stream, there's hardly any record stores. We're lucky here in Nanaimo to have a couple indie stores.
Yeah, Fascinating Rhythm.
Yeah, and one commercial store. But it's not like it was. Back in the old days, you could go on the road and every town had an A and B sound or something like that. So you were selling physical units. And the other thing is royalties from radio airplay. Back in the day, commercial rock stations would actually listen to your album and consider playing your track, especially if you say, hey, we got a tour coming up. We're going to be playing Prince George on April 16. Here's our latest album. Here's a song. They would actually play it.
Yeah.
And that would reflect in the SOCAN royalty checks. That doesn't happen anymore either, because most of the, it's run by bean counters now. And even radio stations you've had a relationship with for 20, 30 years, they're just not allowed. The DJ is not allowed to play what he wants to play.
Yeah.
And same thing, we're lucky to have community radio and things like CKUA in Alberta, but, it ain't like it once was. So live, getting out there live, performing live.
Hey, shout out to CKUA.
Oh, big time.
By and far, my favorite radio station has been for probably 20 years straight. Nobody else represents Canadian artists in Canada like CKUA. Exactly,
and so diverse and so supportive. So, we're lucky to have things like that. But our bread and butter is going out and touring because, A, you get paid for the gig, and B, that's a chance for us to be the record store.
Yeah.
That's where you sell your CD or vinyl and T-shirts if you got them. So, yeah, if all of a sudden you can't tour...
Well, and that's I bet you have had one heck of a week for ideas, and then waking up the next morning, having 100 ideas, going to bed, waking up next morning, and then something else has happened in the news, and you're like, okay, let's maybe quash some of those plans. How do we take advantage of performing in empty vessels of sound and entertainment centers and whatnot, and people can do it if they're in, larger cities, such as Toronto for, probably up until the next week before, we're told that it's probably, not even a good idea to assemble a crew and go to, places like the Orpheum in Vancouver or the Vogue or.
Yeah. And that's the thing is every morning I get up now and I kind of go, oh God, get out the iPad or my phone and let's check the news.
Yeah.
Let's check the Twitter feed and see what's going on now. And then you check your email and we're recording this on March 21st. It'll probably come out in about 9 days from now.
Could be totally irrelevant by the time it comes out.
Exactly. But even now I'm getting people who have booked shows for me in the month of May going, we're going to have to just postpone it until we figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I've even had people freaking out for gigs in September. That's a long time from now. So I tell everyone, just calm down. And that, you can last a month, but you start talking 2 or 3 months, and that's a tough one. But like you say, every day it's a different game plan.
Yeah, it is a different game plan. I'm wondering what are your thoughts about the virtual festival? And it seems like people are taking advantage, basically you get a festival, a name brand festival, let's say, Calgary Blues Festival or Winnipeg Folk Festival, and you get them to endorse and book artists and people get to play from wherever they're situated. And you get, the idea, I was thinking about this a few days ago. You get a YouTube channel and people subscribe and they donate for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and they attend it like they would normal festival. Do you think that is something that may be the reality this summer, or do you think that's just?
I don't know. I mean, I think us musicians would like to do it because we still want to play and we still want to get paid.
Yeah.
Whether or not the audience, I think part of going to a festival is being there.
Yeah.
And getting dirty and getting stinky and doing whatever you do when you're at a festival.
Yeah, which is it's all connectivity things.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's it kind of, freaks me out even to think about it. And I got to admit, I did an actual, my last live show with an audience just over a week ago up in Port Alberni. And we had a small crowd, like maybe a third of what we usually get. I think we sold about half the tickets we usually get, and some people that bought tickets didn't even show up. And I just get off on playing in front of an audience and with an audience and interacting with an audience.
For sure. Yeah.
That's the thing. So it scares me. And the next day, when I realized, I'm going to have to not fly to Ottawa on Wednesday, I'm going to not be going down to the Caribbean and playing for a week, playing the blues, I actually got kind of bummed out. Yeah. On the Sunday, I really think I kind of got depressed for a day, and I kind of had a quick something to eat, and then just went to bed, because I don't like not doing my job, and I had gigs that I wanted to honor, but you just can't do it. You just can't do it. So I don't know. The virtual thing. I mean, as positive as my live stream concert was the other day, we were lucky to have the Duncan showroom who are already set up. They just have been doing that for years, a 5-camera shoot, just trying to get people in other parts of the country to be able to tune in and hopefully donate. So we were lucky, but it kind of makes John look like a genius. And he actually said to me when I left last night, he goes, wow, I finally didn't fuck something up.
Well, I mean, it's I think taking advantage of people that have had studios like this and venues set up that are ready to broadcast. And there's been people like Longevity John. He's probably the most publicized on Vancouver Island.
Yep.
But I think taking advantage of folks that have these setups that are ready to stream, I think now's the time.
Yeah.
I think the more you look at it, I mean, whether we end up getting these big 3-day virtual festivals and that book. I mean, you and I aren't even talking about money. We're talking about playing. That's the interesting thing so far. We've talked about money abstractly when we've talked about record sales and streaming and stuff like that. But that's even being abstract. We're just talking about audience and trying to visualize how and when we're going to be performing to an audience, yet alone paying bills. And when I have my time off, I have no problem with social distancing. I go up to Gogo Mountain, and I love being you
isolated.
invented it up there. Yeah.
But when I'm ready to work, I'm ready. Okay, let's go down. Let's get on the airplane. Let's go down. Let's get greasy. Let's meet the people. Let's rock out. Let's get sweaty. And I'm missing that already.
Yeah.